Picture this. You own the absolute hottest spot in town. You can see it, right? The velvet rope outside your nightclub, the roaring crowd at your own combat sports promotion, maybe a line snaking all the way around the block for your food truck, or just families packing the lanes at your bowling alley on a busy Friday night. I mean, it's the ultimate dream. But today, in this explainer, we are going to pull back the curtain on the business of fun. Because you see, from the outside looking in, these businesses look like absolute gold mines. But on the inside, well, they are some of the most brutally complex, financially treacherous, and honestly, fascinating operations on Earth.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is our roadmap showing how these vastly different businesses actually share the exact same financial DNA. We're going to cover 1. The illusion of easy money, 2. The hidden cost of existing, 3. What you are actually selling, 4. The margin of disaster, and 5. The real price of fun.
So, let's kick things off with Section 1, the illusion of easy money, shattering the dream.
Now we need to shatter that dream just a little bit, shall we? Because human nature makes us look at a packed venue and we immediately start doing this simple and honestly very flawed arithmetic in our heads. We focus heavily on the dream, the smiling food truck owner at noon or the nightclub owner popping champagne at a VIP table. But the reality? That food truck owner was literally in a commercial kitchen at 6 a.m. prepping food they aren't even paid directly for. And that club owner? They likely stomached a massive $1.4 million build-out before a single, solitary customer ever walked through the door. The reality behind the glamour is built on grueling hidden labor and absolutely unforgiving upfront capital.
Now, what's really interesting here is this staggering number, 1,000%. That is the routine markup on bottle service at a premium nightclub. A bottle of vodka that costs the club, say $35 wholesale, is sold to a VIP table for anywhere from $350 to $750. And people don't pay that because they can't do math, right? They pay it for the status, for the sparkler, for the story. But as you're going to see, club owners absolutely need that astronomical markup just to survive their own overhead.
That takes us to Section 2, the hidden cost of existing. The fixed costs don't hibernate. In the entertainment business, fixed costs just do not care if it's a bustling Saturday night or a completely dead rainy Tuesday. Take a look at these numbers. A mid-sized bowling alley isn't just a fun room with wooden lanes. It's a machinery-heavy industrial facility costing over $100,000 a month just to run, requiring specialized pin-setter mechanics on full-time salary. A nightclub? It burns through roughly $140,000 every single month on rent, mandatory acoustic engineering, and security. Even a food truck, which is supposed to be this cheap entry into the restaurant world, bleeds anywhere from $3,500 to $6,500 a month just on commissary rent, insurance, and parking before they flip a single burger. These fixed costs are just draining bank accounts constantly.
Think a food truck is just buying a used van and driving off into the sunset? Think again. This incredibly precise figure, $28,276, is the average first-year regulatory compliance cost for a food truck in a highly regulated city. That covers business registration, food handler certs, fire department permits, health inspections, the whole shebang. It completely shatters the myth of a low-cost entry. The paperwork literally never stops, and it drains your cash reserves day by day.
And time is quite literally money here. If you're paying that $140,000 a month in fixed overhead for a nightclub, any pause in your momentum is absolutely brutal. Let's say you hit a 2-month delay sitting on a wait list for a liquor license transfer, which, by the way, happens all the time. That means you have just absorbed a $280,000 loss. You are nearly $350,000 in the hole, and you haven't even poured your very first drink.
And this brilliantly illustrates the macro scale of things. Operating at the absolute pinnacle of an industry demands capital that borders on the absurd. In combat sports, a standard professional pay-per-view event costs roughly $2 million in production. We're talking camera crews, lighting, arena rentals, medical staff. But when the UFC went to the Las Vegas Sphere in 2024, that single event cost over $20 million to produce.
Let's move on to Section 3, what you are actually selling, the paradigm pivot.
To survive the brutal math we've just been talking about, you have to completely flip your perspective. So, what is the real product? I want you to really ask yourself that. If you own a bowling alley, are you selling 16-pound balls knocking down wooden pins? If you own a nightclub, are you just selling vodka and loud music? The answer is a definitive no.
You see, you are never actually selling what you appear to be selling. Nightclubs? They are selling social signaling and status. That is exactly why someone eagerly pays 1,000% markup for a bottle with a sparkler attached to it. Combat sports companies aren't just selling fights, they are building massive distribution networks for human drama. Bowling alleys are selling social entertainment destinations, and food trucks are ultimately selling speed, convenience, and catered reliability. The core activity? That's really just the bait.
Take a bowling alley, for example. The physical lanes actually cap your revenue because, well, you can only fit so many people on them at a time. The real money is in everything else. The physical lanes are basically just an anchor attraction to sell high-margin pizza, $9 draft beers, and incredibly lucrative corporate event packages. The lanes get them in the door, but the overall experience generates the actual profit.
Moving into Section 4, the margin of disaster, when the math turns against you.
So the crucial point is that these business models are incredibly fragile. Tiny, microscopic inefficiencies compound into catastrophic losses. For a food truck operating in an urban downtown area, 60 to 70% of their daily street revenue happens in a critical 90-minute lunch window. If a complicated new menu item adds just 30 extra seconds to an order, throughput absolutely plummets. In that 90-minute rush, 30 extra seconds per ticket equals $420 in lost revenue for the day. Just a few bad days like that, and your profit for the entire month is completely wiped out. No room for error.
And volatility, it is literally everywhere. Look at combat sports. The UFC put on UFC 300, a massive milestone event, and did an estimated 615,000 pay-per-view buys. Fantastic, right? But just a few weeks later, a card with a weaker headliner, UFC 301, did roughly 67,000 buys. If your main event star tears a ligament 7 days before a fight, you can't just get your $2 million production cost back. You instantly wipe out millions in projected revenue. Your entire business is essentially at the mercy of unpredictable human bodies.
And for something like a nightclub, closure rarely happens from one massive, catastrophic explosion. Actually, it's a slow bleed, a cascade of failure. Year 1 is usually great, but by month 18, the initial buzz naturally fades. A shiny new club opens down the street. To compensate, the owners panic and they start booking more expensive DJs, driving up their promo spend. But guess what? The rent hasn't changed. Those fixed costs are totally unyielding. The cash reserves slowly drain out and suddenly they are out of business despite having a line at the door on Saturday night.
Which brings us to our final section, Section 5, the real price of fun, surviving the industry. Let's move on and see how this all builds up. What does it actually take to pull this off and win in an industry that seems structurally designed to bankrupt you? Look at the gap here between a great month and a bad month across these industries. An optimistic month for a food truck nets over $6,600, but one bad rainy month where you need a generator repair, that puts them $800 in the red. A mid-tier combat sports promotion can swing by $14 million just based on a couple of ill-timed injuries. Across the board, surviving means managing this massive structural chasm of volatility.
So how do the absolute titans win? Simple. They cheat the volatility altogether. In 2025, the UFC signed a 7-year, $7.7 billion media rights deal with Paramount. That is over $1 billion a year, guaranteed, moving them away from the roller coaster of pay-per-view directly into a stable subscription model. They converted a volatile event-by-event business into guaranteed, predictable corporate revenue. The ultimate winners in the business of fun survive by escaping the unpredictability of fun entirely.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer and leaves us with one final, undeniable question. Now that you've seen behind the curtain, the grueling early morning hours, the unforgiving fixed costs, the structural chasms, and that razor-thin margin of disaster, do you still want to own the ultimate entertainment venue? Or are you perfectly happy just buying the ticket, enjoying the show, and letting someone else deal with the math? Think about that the next time you drop $15 at a food truck. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and I'll see you next time.